Scott with sjwellfire.com. Final Days Report, episode 247. Why is the mainstream news so obsessed with fungus all over the place? This is a tip from a listener. I appreciate that tip. Some of the things fungus is being primed for is the next plandemic, an untreatable medical situation. Get this, a solve to sequester carbon dioxide. You can't make this up. Carbon dioxide is needed for plants to give us oxygen. You breathe carbon dioxide. A war on carbon dioxide is a war on you. We'll dive deep into it, my friends. This is interesting. This is the main tip I received. Fungus is used or can be used to replace oil. So this whole climate scam, are they going to get rid of oil, bring in fungus? You'll nothing and like it. Used to clean up toxic spills. We'll talk about how in Palestine, where the train derailment happened, they're actually finding strange fungus. Are they testing something out, my friends? Part of a DARPA program. CRISPR-Cas9, this DNA gene defilement technology, uses fungus. Fungus can be used to make pharmaceutical drugs. We're going to show some articles there. They're pushing fungus, these magic mushrooms, to treat depression. And we've talked a little bit about how fungus can be used to run computers, this mind controlism technology. But is there something nefarious here? Is this a cover story? We're going to talk about some insights as well. I have nothing against mushrooms. I think everybody should learn how to grow mushrooms. When I was getting my MBA years ago, I knew very sharp man that owned one of the largest companies that produced mushrooms, that made mushrooms and sold them to grocery store chains. He took me through the benefits of mushrooms. So again, mushrooms, fungi is not evil, but anything that's good can be used for evil. So let's get into how they're promoting fungus, because it's a bit mind-bending. The first one that jumps out is to sequester carbon dioxide. Again, carbon dioxide is good. It's not evil. You need carbon dioxide for this world to thrive. Let's read. Fungi stores a third of carbon from fossil fuel emissions and could be essential to reaching net zero, new study reveals. So what? Do they want it then, the whole world to be surrounded by fungus? Like what's going on here, my friends? If they really thought about this, they could sequester carbon dioxide, put it in a greenhouse, and grow tomatoes the size of volleyballs. We covered that often. And this was the tip from the listener. Scientists discover fungus that could fuel a car. So do they want to destroy fossil fuels that I think is regenerative? It doesn't come from fossil fuels. A lot of whistleblowers have talked about with coal. They found coal deposits with a shoe from the 70s. I mean, this is nonsense, my friends. We've talked about water, how there's primary water. Water continuously regenerates itself. There's an underground ocean that's 3 times larger than the ocean found on the surface. This false scarcity, I think that's what we're seeing here as well. What are they doing there? It seems like they're terraforming this world. Let's continue. This is from DARPA. Large fermenters can use fungus, which grows in liquid with long thread-like cells to produce bioenzymes for environmental cleanup. This video that was sent to me, they're showing strange fungus growing on trees around Palestine where that train derailment happened. Are they testing out this system? It can also be used, according to DARPA, for ethanol production. There you go. Is this something to replace oil for cars? Personally, I think they have free energy. That'll be the Antichrist system, part of this great deception as the grid goes down. And then the Antichrist takes power. They're going to launch free energy. That's pretty much a given when you go and do your research on Tesla. But I digress. Let's continue on the fungus in the news. This is where it gets interesting. We've covered this before. The rise of super fungus diseases from ringworm to deadly lung disease are becoming untreatable because of these new infections. So this is one of 7 bullets in the chamber for the WHO, World Health Organization, to take complete control of your rights. I mean, they're building this treaty as we speak, and it's just super, super wicked. And this is where it gets even more strange. Fungus and the zombie outbreak. One of a somewhat viral podcasts that we did is how Amazon, in their terms of service, talk about a zombie outbreak. And I give my testimony when I managed business units. I dealt with lawyers in terms of conditions. You would never spend money on putting a zombie outbreak in your terms of conditions. You just wouldn't do it. This is interesting. How the zombie fungus takes over ants' bodies to control their minds. When I read this headline, this article, it reminded me of a certain percent of all inventions are inspired by God's creation. You think of different inventions that are out there that have been inspired, like Velcro, from a certain type of weed and that sticking mechanism. Many, many inventions come from God's creation. Here's another one. Zombie fungus drives flies to mate with the dead. Strange. Like what's happening here with the takeover of minds? Is something happening here that's used for nefarious purposes? Because here's NPR. The zombie fungus from The Last of Us is real, but not nearly as deadly. Last of Us, my understanding, is a zombie apocalypse type series, TV series. And oh, by the way, in 2011, CDC, right, did a Preparedness 101 zombie apocalypse. And they took it off because they received so much scrutinism of what are you doing to us? What exactly have you poked us with, right? With prions disease, mad cow disease that can take us over, this nanotech rewiring your brain, defiling your brain with this mind controlism technology. That's what we cover all out of this technology. They took it off their website. And I'm going to place a video on my Telegram account. I just have it as a catch-all of what I find interesting. I don't really have much commentary to it, so I'm not necessarily trying to grow it. But I'm going to put a video there from a military meeting about preparing the military for zombie apocalypse. And this gentleman shows a flyer from the U.S. government preparing troops for a zombie outbreak. So what do they know? What are they planning? We'll get into SEAL 2. I think this is part of it as well. We've covered this before in mind controlism technology, from synthetic biology to nanotech, this technology to rewire your brain. What the fungi? Scientists create a living motherboard made with mushrooms. And here's another headline. This fungus computer is a bit too Last of Us. Again, that's the zombie movie, for comfort. So there appears to be a means for fungus to control minds, at least in animals. And you're an animal, my friends, according to the elite. Now, this was new to me. Fungus is key for CRISPR-Cas9, that is gene editing as the days of Noah. No flesh shall be saved. Oh, by the way, I looked up elect. I'm a post-trib guy. Matthew 24 says, no flesh will be left. And for the elect's sake, elect are Christians. Jesus comes back. Elect, when you look at all the usages of elect in the Bible, they stand for Christians and or angels. It does not have anything to do with Israel. Just a sidebar. But let's read on this gene modification. Different types of fungi and their associated enzymes can be used in gene therapy to modify or rewrite DNA. One example for the use of fungi called CRISPR-Cas9 to edit DNA sequences in target cells. This is gene therapy, my friends. So this fungi can transport custom genetic material to specific cells in the body, offering a targeted and efficient approach to gene therapy. What's going on here? What is going on? It is a little bit wild. And this I thought was a bit sad. I'm showing a picture of this young baby with strange eyes that did not develop. They look like bug eyes to me, my friends. So was this mom juiced up? Because I was listening to Karen Kingston on Z Media, and she talked about how these cocktails that we just received a couple of years ago, this poison had foreign bug DNA in it. So if I'm this mom, this article goes on to talk about how doctors are flabbergasted. They have no clue how this happened. I'm wondering if this child was gene defiled. That's what I'd check out. If I was this mom, do a DNA test on these eyes and see if they have foreign material in them. Because if she was poked, and if that comes out that there's some strange DNA in this child, something's going on, I would sue. It could be a payday for her, because this is evil if that's happening. And who knows, it could be just something that happened to this young boy. And again, the reason why I say that is they're manipulating DNA. This is an interesting article, how they're taking fungi and making pharmaceutical drugs. Let's read. Scientists, engineers, and even artists begin to approach DNA as a biological code that could be digitized, manipulated, and redesigned in cyberspace in much of the same way as digital photos or video games. That's what think of your DNA, God's DNA. They're just playing around, editing them like it's a video game. This in turn opened the door to reprogramming plants, microorganisms, and fungi to produce pharmaceutical drugs. There's that sorcery, witchcraft. Pharmakia is witchcraft sorcery, right? I think it's Revelation 18. The rich men of this world hoodwinked everybody with their sorcery, their pharmakia. Can't make this stuff up, my friends. Goes on to say, modified yeast, for example, produces the meaty taste of vegetarian Impossible burgers. Oof. No, thank you. Now, the government, they're pushing psychedelics, magic mushrooms. Here's from NextGov. Psychedelics may better treat depression and anxiety symptoms than prescription antidepressants for patients with advanced cancer. So it talks about, hey, for those patients with cancer, but you know it'll morph into, hey, you're depressed. Well, take a magic mushroom, take a shroom. I never tried shrooms when I was a partier, but I was in college. My roommates used to do shrooms. And one of them, I'll never forget this, we lived on the second or third floor, and he just said, I have this urge to run out and jump out the window. And everybody's like, you're not going to do that, are you? I mean, the guy was going nuts. We had to lock him in his room. He was having a bad experience. And I was the only one not on shrooms. I almost called the cops because I thought the guy was going to do something stupid. I mean, he wouldn't shut up. I mean, it was the strangest thing. All right. So this is speculative, just doing some research. How could fungus be used for evil? And this is just an interesting search. Develop methods for controlling human behavior, because it appears this fungus can control some animal behavior. Manipulate the behavior of insects. So if they can manipulate the behavior of insects, could they actually transform that to humans? Aggressive fungi species capable of rapidly overtaking natural ecosystems. So everything needs to be digitized. Did they dump some sort of fungus cleanup DARPA experiment with that Palestine spill? And then are they going to use this to sequester carbon dioxide to terraform our environment? Is this a way to get rid of oil, to destroy the car industry? I mean, these are just questions, right? And then this whole genetic manipulation. I had no idea fungi was used for CRISPR-Cas9. That was new to me, as the days of Noah, my friends. I think fungus is a cover for seal 2 priming. And when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, come and see. And there went out another horse that was red, and the power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, this mind controlism technology, and that they should kill one another. That to me screams neighbor versus neighbor, communist versus capitalist, white versus black, gay versus straight, trans versus Christian, so on and so forth. And there was given unto him a great sword. Now, this great sword does scream communism, and so I don't want to dismiss that, which many people have talked about. The color of red represents communism. So maybe it's a combination of both. But I go back to, is this fungus in the news? Is it a bit of a psyop? Because I go back to Todd Callender, how he talked about this nanotech, this AI type weapon system injected in us with this gene defilement as the days of Noah. There is evidence with this nanotech and all the different white papers, along with things that they've jacked into our food with nanotech that can be activated with 5G, 6G, with a certain frequency, and can cause instantaneous death. That's why you need to be covered with the power and the blood of Jesus Christ. And if it's your time, it's your time, my friends. But Callender describes how if all of a sudden this activity came about that I just described, would resemble an apocalypse of zombies. So we're getting prepared with zombie apocalypse with predictive programming, terms of service in Amazon, NPR, The Last of Us. They can use fungus to make computers, run computers. You're the computer, my friends. The brain is the ultimate computer. Never forget that. So Scott with sjwellfire.com, sign up for our newsletter, my friends. We have launched a brand of God t-shirts. I think it's kind of a cool way that you can almost tell your story, a mercy of God, child of God. Open up the door there. If you're not awake, seal 1 is open. Email me if you want a free copy. I really dumped in a lot of information, just trying to warn on everything that's been disclosed to me over the last 15 years. That's why I started this Watchman ministry. Again, check out our website for preparation gear. I purchased just about everything on this website. Preparation is biblical.